Well, hello and welcome to the Access 21 podcast. I'm Executive Director John Rocco, Executive Director of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Public Access Corporation. Delighted to have you with us today as we begin a series of podcasts. Last time we had an overview podcast to talk a little bit about the organization, what we do and how we do it. And we intend to, in the future, to do a series of podcasts on individuals associated with Access 21, be it staff or producers, volunteers, board members, whatever it happens to be. And today, I'm very happy to have as our guest, Jashun Gaddy, who is a Access 21 producer, a volunteer, and also a former intern. And we intend to talk about all of those things in the next few minutes. So, Jashun, thank you for being here.
And thank you for saying my name correctly. It feels like a family. You know it's a family when you actually can say it correctly, too, so they know me.
Well, I practice it for about a week in anticipation of you being here. So,
modest.
Well, we're glad you're here. And I guess at the beginning, let's just tell the audience a little bit about what first brought you to Access 21 and why you came down here to be a member.
Okay, well, I'll start with the initial setup as far as arriving here at the station. This was back in 07, 08, and I was working with my vocational counselor, and at the it's an atrium now, but it was Carolina Medical Center, and I had a vocational counselor because that was helping people with disabilities looking to finding jobs. I had a brain aneurysm back in college when I was 21, and so that kind of then I went through a lot of rehab and a lot of stuff, but that was the reason why I was working with vocational counselor. And during that time period, I was looking for jobs. At first, we were looking for broadcasting jobs and stuff, but it was like nothing. It was just kind of like discouraging. It was like we was on a mission for like 3 years, and we just interviews. I started applying for like department stores and everything else just to find any job, and then it was like that's when I ran into overqualification because of a college graduate, and then they also may have looked at my disability because I had a cane and stuff like that too. So, and so I don't know, but the vocational counselor came up with the idea about, TV access. And so this was like years ago. And we went to one of the orientations, and then I kind of liked it. And so I think I started, during this time period, I was still interning at the radio station that I work at now. And so, or maybe I wasn't. But it really caught my attention because it was just the style or just the vibe of the station. It was just, and I was actually able to be hands-on, and that was great. And and just the assistance and just the smaller scale as far as the teaching, and it wasn't like a big class like I was at when I was the ECU, it wasn't like 12 or 15. It was just, 6 people. So it's just a little bit more concentrated too.
So you went to East Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And you were a communications major?
Yes, sir.
And so you wanted a career in television and radio or both?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then you suffered this brain aneurysm, which caused you to have a disability. Mm-hmm. And did you feel that that was being used as a reason for you not to get hired for a job?
I feel like that was a big reason because of that, and also maybe my lack of experience, and also because if they look at the gap between when I graduated and and everything like that, and so and it, and even like the software and stuff maybe advanced also over the years. Like for example, when I had my aneurysm back in 2001, in my classes, we was using like reel-to-reel editing decks and tapes and stuff. When I returned back in '04, they had, Macintosh, Final Cut Pro, iMovie, iMac. And I didn't have no experience with any of that, so they, in just that short time period, they advanced as far as the software and stuff too. And so during that time period, I had to use. I knew I wasn't able to readapt because all the earlier classes, the beginning classes to learn those softwares, I already took. So I'm over here already in like the advanced classes and stuff too. So I had to use something that I was good at, and that was coming up with ideals and stories and stuff. And a good thing, like a lot of the major class projects, I was actually, thank God, I was the producer of.
So how long did it, were you in rehab after you suffered the aneurysm?
Wow. Like I said, I was in a coma for 30 days, and I think I was in-house for about 2 months, 3 months. And so, back then, nowadays, you be in in-house for maybe 2 weeks, and then then you be out. But during this time period, it was in-house, and during this time was like 3 physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, 3 times a day or whatever. But I think that's how I feel like I'm a little bit more got so good in advance, because it was just, they were during that time, they was just, kind of like really, really work with you.
So you had to learn how to walk again, how to talk again, and do a lot of things that you were already doing, of course, in your regular life before this happened.
Right.
Well, I know how difficult it could be to break into the radio and television business just in general. Exactly. I mean, it's very difficult, but with a disability, and as someone myself who also has a disability, I know firsthand what you're talking about, that it makes it that much more difficult. But when you came to Access 21, you were able to do the things and that perhaps some of these other professional organizations would not allow you to do.
Right. And I mean, it's just and the thing is, it's just, and I like it because I feel like this was a lot different from the class at East Carolina, because that's like an institution. But this right here is, I feel like it's really molding people personally into, it's skipping all the technical aspects as far as the exams and stuff. It's focusing on getting to the nitty gritty as far as the work and the technique, and cut out all the fat and get right to it, and then shortly after, go into to the after you finish the class, that's when you do the volunteer hours, and that's when you work with other people on the shows. And I think I like that also because that helps work with the aspect of networking, as far as, because they had to, they weren't assigned producers to work on what show. They had to go out, or I know we had to go out and like contact these producers, or vice versa, to contact, so it's also dealing with a lot of exchanges, and as far as the connection, as far as interaction, as far as how you do.
Right, to work on a crew on a show. That the producer, whoever the producer is responsible for going out and getting their crew for the show.
Right.
Although we do provide volunteer lists, but you actually have to act as a producer and get those people together. So what would you say to someone, another person who has any kind of disability, about coming down to Access 21? Did you find it helpful? Did you find it enjoyable? Would you recommend it to other persons with disabilities to come down and do their own program?
I definitely would, and I definitely have. Well, one of my good buddies, Antoine Herring, he just filmed a special, and but I've told him about this station for some years, and so I'm glad that he actually was able to, and maybe during this time of the corona, and there's nothing much else to do, and so he took advantage of it. But I just feel like this is a great opportunity because it's like I said, it's more concentrated. It's not like you're not lost in the shuffle. As long as and if the more you interact and the more you come in and volunteer and just inquire, the more they'll know your name personally, and I like that. And so there's opportunities there. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of stuff too.
And have you found the other producers? Have you had any issues with anybody, for example, not wanting you to be on their crew because you have a disability, or has everybody been pretty much welcoming?
Oh yeah, it's been very very welcoming there. I know some years ago a situation happened, but I think and actually that kind of it's actually funny because actually I'm grateful for that situation because that's what spearheaded me changing my ideal about my show into the voice of brain injury because I wanted to have a platform to educate people about some of the things that you may take advantage, you may not think about because if you look at me, I look regular, and it's an invisible disability, and so I think that actually, and so I'm kind of grateful for that to happen because it kind of helped me angle what I really need to be focusing on instead of the other idea that I had that wasn't, you know.
Right.
And
Well,
so,
let's talk a little bit about your show. So you decided to do a special on brain injury. And so tell us a little bit about your special and what it was about.
well, the special was called "The Voices of Brain Injury," and it was going to be. I was like, I'm just going to do a special, and because a lot of people were really. Every time I talked to other producers, they were very, they gave me a lot of encouragement and gave me a lot of, oh, that's a good idea, and so that got me even more pep about doing it. And so I got in touch with my old boss at the Intercom that I was under for years, and I just wanted to see, well, maybe he can be as far as my first guest because he's in the radio and this is a broadcast and stuff, and also he was my boss, and so focusing on the employment aspect too, and so I just asked him, and he's like, yeah, that'd be great, and so he came in, we talked on the phone and talked a little bit about it, and so when he came in and did it because he is such a great person. He actually set up a lot of things. He did so much for me and the Brain Injury Association as far as just incorporating us into the station at he like through him like the station was the sponsors for the Walk and Rollathon. He took me and him led a tour for my Brain Injury Association around the station. He supported me at a lot anything that's dealing with the Brain Association. He definitely him and the station actually took a part of it. One of the early on in my interview of my intern, he actually set up for me to be a guest on the health headlines. Stacey Sims show and stuff too. So he definitely incorporated, and it definitely got a lot of the knowledge about brain injury because before me, he didn't know anything about it,
Right.
and stuff too. I know one of the things that, and then another guy there, his name Doug, he's gone now, but one of the early tasks was I was the call screener. So there was a show called the Home Improvement Show, and during that time show, I would be the call screener. And so it was one of those things that I had to get used to, like, because at first, you type in a name and a person and what the topic is. And so I think one person I was like, okay, they're from Charlotte, QC, shorthanded or whatever. And so, and the people, so they're like, okay, we got somebody, Matt calling from QC. QC, I don't know what that is, I was like, okay, and they hung up. But I learned now it's CHIR, not the QC, so, and just, through things like that and just a lot of things, and so during that time he was also encouraging me to spread my wings into doing other avenues because he knows I had the promise, and I know I had the passion, and so he knows during that time it's only so much that and then so when they actually did allow me to because I think what happened was my job coach in vocational services, they like, I know you love it here, and but it's been 3 years, and so we if they can't give you a job, we may have to kind of back away. And so with Carl and Karen, they actually set up for me to get a part-time job there. And so it was great as a program assistant too. So they even incorporated like a new title for me.
Now, I know just from the analytics of programming that we have on our video on demand, that your program got quite a bit of viewership. And I'm wondering if you heard a lot of response from the audience that watched the show.
The thing is, it's kind of cool because like I put in work, and so I had to use all of my, I have like a long list of, support groups and friends and stuff too. So I and that's where we're very supportive. The Brain Injury Association family, we're very supportive when when we experience certain projects like that. And so, like through my my vocational counselor at Carolina Rehabilitations, she sent it to like all the doctors and rehabilitation people. I sent it to like coworkers at work. I had it family members and friends and Facebook groups and stuff too. So it was definitely I put in the work now.
Yeah.
And stuff too. So
yeah, I think that's one of the things that a lot of folks that come down and want to have their own show don't realize until they get into it how much work is actually involved in putting a whole show together.
Right, and not just the whole show. Then you got to think about broadcast. Promotion and stuff too.
Right.
And that's the thing, because a lot of the shows here are good. It's just like sometimes it's just kind of like they don't really take advantage of all the sources that they can use.
Now, are you planning on doing another show?
Yeah, I definitely want to do another special. I'm not trying to do a whole. I'm taking my time. I'm not trying to do a series just yet. I'm trying to just take my time. And I wanted to do. I was helping with my buddy Intern, and then I wanted to say after he finished his show and it's airing and everything, then I'll try to do another show. And then it has happened that during this time period, the creation of the podcast.
Right.
Was during the time I was interning, came across, and I got a chance to experience and see work with it a little bit before the classes start. And then when I took the classes, I was like, this is just amazing, yo. And I'm like, this is it. And so I definitely want my next show to be a podcast show. I see there's so many different avenues or different things I can do with podcasts, as far as incorporating video. If a person, especially doing now with Corona, I can have a guest on the phone.
Right.
And so I have 3 people, like 2 people or 1 person in here and 2 people on the phone, or 2 people in here, or stuff like that. It's just a lot more accessible. Right.
Now, you mentioned, we talked a little earlier about you've also been an intern here at Access 21.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that experience.
It was really, I really enjoyed it, and I got a chance to finally get the chance to really see how everybody working, and the formula or the outline, it was very detailed too. So it was great, and it's like it's like almost like a job. Every day is like either I work on the show or I work on my project, which was to make a PSA. And so, from the beginning, and so everything was like just to come up with ideas, the script, everything. And so, but during that time period, also working on people's shows, and this also means learning to check them in, check them out, check to make sure after the show everything is in good. The lights are off and everything too.
Did you think it was, would you recommend it? Do we have a lot of, we have interns usually in the fall and the spring, in the summer also, when the college kids are home from school. What would you say to someone who would consider an internship at Access 21?
I would say definitely take it. I'm kind of glad it was like the time period that I thought about applying for an internship. I think it was like me and one other person. And then the next semester after me, I already was like 5 people. I'm like, okay, I'm glad I went in there, because that group that intern that interviewed after me was a tough group, and I knew I wouldn't be able to handle or stack up against them. But it's definitely really good as far as just the knowledge, and anything you ask, they'll say. I saw a lot of things that changed during the time period, or that was built during the time period I was interning. I saw the creation of the podcast room. I saw the new studio stage with the front porch and everything. I saw that happen. So there was a lot of things that I saw that kind of was created during that time period and stuff, and even the logistics about how things work, as far as when people call in and ask about the shows and things like that. I was just, I was just got around to actually becoming more knowledgeable about the details as far as the intricate steps and stuff.
So I guess just as a final thought, from the time you first considered coming to Access 21 and doing a program, through your experience, and first of all, how long have you been involved here now?
Probably since like 2006, 2007.
Okay, so that's a long time now. That's about 14 years.
Yeah, in and out, yeah.
Right. What would you say to someone who's out there and says, I'd like to have my own TV show, maybe I should do that, or maybe I'd like to have a podcast? What would you say to them?
Definitely take advantage of it. I mean, you can't lose. I mean, all the classes are free, and I mean, and almost all the classes are free compared to how much you would pay if you went to like a community college or a state college, and it is so much hands-on. I mean, they'll tell you, and then it's just a learning, it's just like a trade school. And then and even though I've seen a lot more, and this is great for adults, which is majority of the people that attends this institution, and so that's the perfect thing, and they got the hours as far as the class hours are evening times, it's a lot evening times, it's Saturdays, and so it's accessible to people that have full-time jobs and stuff too. But and then the thing is, there's so much passion. I know, like, in classes or doing orientation, just the camaraderie about when you're in a group of people and they're talking about this, and then they're like, just the networking as far as the broadcasting field, as far as the Charlotte family, the bubble is just crazy as far as the 3 degrees of separation when it comes to projects and stuff.
Right, and I think that's one of the things we're proudest of here, is that we have folks from all corners of our community working together here to put their programs together, and individuals that might not ordinarily associate with each other or socialize with each other, because they're in different parts of the city. They're in their worlds would never meet, but they do meet here, and folks get to know one another and where each other are coming from, and we think that helps to make our community a better place. So I think that's the advantage for everybody, and I'm glad you were able to take advantage of it, and I'm assuming you go out into the community and tell everybody about Access 21 and why they should become a member.
Right. Yeah, definitely that. Like I said, like one of my best buddies, Antoine, I got I told him and now he's, he got his own show, and it's just the opportunities that can happen at this station that's a lot more realistic than if for the same opportunity maybe at a 4-year college or even a community college, because it's just more accessible.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, Jashun, I'd like to thank you for coming in and talking with us today, and we look forward to your next show.
All right.
And maybe your podcast.
Yes.
And whatever else you might do here at Access 21. So thanks for coming in.
All right. Thank you very much. I had a blast.
I'd like to remind everybody that if you'd like to have your own television show or your own podcast, visit our website, tvaccess21.com, or you can give us a call at 704-377-8988. And if you're listening to this podcast outside of the city of Charlotte or outside of the Charlotte metropolitan area, look up your own public access channel and see what they have to offer. You might be able to have your own show wherever you are, and we hope you will. I'd like to thank our engineer for today's show, James Rossi, our capable engineer for today's podcast. Hope you'll join us next time for our next podcast. Till then, this is John Rocco. Thanks for listening.